Hello, guys, and thank you so much for once again for joining me on this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. I am your residential anchor, Aaron. Let's get right into talking about the Indianapolis Colts, and today we're going to talk about the state of the AFC South. We are 4 games into the season. It's hard to believe that the NFL season is almost a quarter of the way over already, and we're going to look at what all the other teams are doing and what we can expect going forward for the Indianapolis Colts and what all the other teams in the division. And we're going to talk about who some of the studs and duds, winners and losers from the game this past weekend against the Rams, and then look forward to the Titans game this weekend, which is going to go a long way, a win there for the Colts to getting them into the playoffs. Maybe. Let's get into it. But first, let's thank our sponsor, Mattress Warehouse. Mattress Warehouse, get a name brand mattress at a warehouse price at Mattress Warehouse in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Serving all of the Fort Wayne area within 70 miles of this area, we will deliver a mattress, and many mattresses that we sell can be delivered anywhere throughout the entire country. Thank you to Mattress Warehouse for sponsoring this channel. Come in today. See myself, Aaron, or any of the sales associates and get that name brand mattress at a warehouse price at Mattress Warehouse. All right, let's get into talking about the Indianapolis Colts. Welcome to Indiana Sports Connection. I am your host. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet. Thank you so much for joining me. And we are going to let's talk about some of the winners and losers from the Colts game this past weekend. So my first one I want to give away that was an absolute stud in this game was Anthony Richardson. He really sparked the comeback in the second half, really with his arm as much as anything. He played a really great game in the second half, got out to a slow start. I think a lot of that was the plays they had drawn up and the coaching staff and everything like that. I mean, it wasn't really pretty at the beginning, but in the end, Anthony Richardson, he made some throws down the field and really did a great job playing quarterback, bringing the Colts back, and inspiring his teammates as well to get that comeback going in that game. So, one player that was injured during the game that it did affect him a lot during the game was DeForest Buckner. Now, his replacement was Taven Bryan, and he did not really play that great. In the running game, he just got gobbled up by blockers in the running game, and he was out there a lot on third down where DeForest Buckner was not in the game on those third down plays. And he just struggled to get off blocks. He just struggled to impact the pocket or squeeze those runners when they were running by him to make any tackles. The Colts have the Titans this coming Sunday, and they will need DeForest Buckner to be at full health. I've pulled a groin before, and it is like one of the funniest injuries because you just continually can think like you're fine to run on it, and then you can like have a setback and pull it again. So hopefully he can get himself right and get that healed up this week. I mean, if he can take it easy and heal for like a good 5 days, will definitely do him some good. And hopefully he is ready because they're going against Henry. And although Henry is not what he was maybe a few years ago, he's been getting worn down. Want to see him at full strength to stop that Titans running game this Sunday. Dayo Ndangbo was an absolute beast in this game. I mean, he swatted a pass out of the air of Matthew Stafford, got in his face a few times, and really, when they were making their comeback, he went above and beyond, and his motor was running at 100%, and he was able to help the Colts come back in that game by putting some pressure on Matthew Stafford off the edge. Haven't seen a ton out of this guy. He's been kind of banged up a little bit, it seems like all the time in his first couple years being with the Colts, but maybe this will show that he can make impact plays from that edge spot, and the Colts need that big time on their team. The other guy that played really, really great was Andrew Ogletree. Had some on one drive, he was, and I talked about it yesterday, he was just absolutely dominating. He really made it count. Ogletree posted 3 receptions for 48 yards and a touchdown on one drive. He just came alive and really helped the Colts on their comeback effort. One guy that was a backup player that played really bad in this game was Blake Freeland. Blake Freeland, I mean, it's really harsh to throw this guy out there with the context of all of this, is that he was matched up with Aaron Donald in front of him on many of these plays in the game. So, I mean, it's really hard to put him in this position that he was like really played like crap in this game. But trying to replace Bernhard Raimann, it just was a tough day for Freeland. And Aaron Donald got the best of him, and a lot of guys got the best of him when they lined up in front of him. And then the last dud on this list is Shaq Leonard. And Shaq Leonard he has been recovering from a back surgery. It's just hard to know what the state of his physical nature is right now. He barely played any snaps in the second half of the game, and many people were commenting why he was sitting out. He played in 46% of the snaps on the day, and that number has been trending downward. It was like he played it. I don't know all the numbers exactly. It was like he played 85% of the snaps week 1, then played like 70% of the snaps week 2, played like 65% of the snaps week 3, then played 47% of the snaps week 4. So that's not going in the right direction for Shaq Leonard. We'd like to see him really be totally healthy and be able to be the maniac that he is on the field so that he can get those takeaways. But I just hope the best for him. I know it's got to be really hurting him big time that he's not out there on the field with his teammates during like some of the real clutch times. And this defense has changed. He's been injured so long that really like Franklin is really the leader on the defense now. And Shaq Leonard really needs to try to work himself back into these positions. And I don't know if it's an issue of confidence or if it's an issue of like thinking that he's going to get re-injured or just a combination of those things. I'll tell you, I've not played any high-level football, but I broke my thumb or sprained my thumb really bad and then had it like to where it was so like I played running back. And so obviously you use your thumb a lot when you play running back. And I just kept injuring it over and over again. And it was like, I mean, one season it just like could not get out of my head. So I've definitely felt just the psychological effects of being injured and these guys, I mean, for them, it's a lot more on the line than that. I mean, I was in like 8th grade when that was going on. So, but yeah, as much as I can try to relate to these guys, when you do have an ongoing injury, it can get in your head psychologically. How do you even say that word? But so I want to look ahead a little bit to the state of the AFC South. All the teams are 2-2. The Colts play the Titans this weekend, and the Jaguars play the Bills this weekend. So the Jaguars have another really tough game. This is a morning game, Sunday, October 8th. That's a game over in London that the Jaguars are going to be playing this Sunday at 9:30 a.m. So, and then the Colts play the Jaguars the following weekend. So the Colts have the Titans coming up and the Jaguars coming up. If they could go 1-1 in those games, I'd be totally satisfied. I mean, if they end up 3-3 after these next 2 weeks, definitely going to be satisfied with that. The Texans, they play the Falcons, and then they play the Saints. So the Texans have really shown themselves in the division to be one of the best teams in the division. They're right there with everybody else. And the Texans have just shown that they are a lot better than what people have given them credit for. So the Texans, Well, the Texans beat the Jaguars, and then the Texans stomped the Steelers 30-6 just this past weekend. So the Texans have a really easy schedule, and that is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people are kind of like saying, hey, the Texans have a chance to win the division because they have a really, really weak schedule, just like the Colts do. I think the Colts and Texans might have two of the easiest schedules in the entire league. The Jaguars have a much more difficult schedule because they were a lot better than the Colts were last year. So yeah, the division is wide open. I'm completely satisfied with where the Colts are right now. They have a pretty easy schedule if you look down the list of teams that they're going to play, and they very well could be 500 or around in that like 9-8 or possibly 10-7, but 9-8 might get them into the playoffs, and we're just going to have to see. It's always like early in the season, it's easy to look at teams that are 0-3 or 1-3 or stuff like that and think that they have no chance, but always one of those teams gets really hot in the mid to late part of the year and then normally get their way into the playoffs. But the Colts, they're playing as good as I could have hoped for them to play. I think the last few years definitely have been such a letdown for the team and everything like that with Frank Reich and just how the season went last year. Like, it just feels so good to have a drafted great prospect out there. And we're going to talk about this too. Jonathan Taylor coming back to the Colts Wednesday at practice. Jonathan Taylor could be out on the field this Sunday for the Colts. That is going to be the great equalizer in the division. Could the Jonathan Taylor coming in for the Colts get the Colts over the hump and get them to where they could be a playoff contention team and kind of take control of this division? Well, we're going to find out this week. If he practiced with the team tomorrow, he definitely could be ready for the game this Sunday in some type of capacity, and he should be ready to go with all of the amount of rest and everything that he's had, and he should be ready to pass a physical as well. But that's all I have for you today about the Colts. A great spot that they're in right now, and the opportunities, they just have to take advantage of the opportunities that are given to them, and they're still in this thing. I mean, they very well could have started out 1-3 or even worse with all of the big changes that they had in the coaching and everything like that with the coaching and draft picks coming in. And one other thing I want to say, Dallas Flowers, Achilles injury. He is out for the season. I feel bad for him. He got hurt in the overtime and walked off the field, or didn't walk off the field, but got helped off the field in an Achilles injury. That is really bad for him. But he's a young guy, and hopefully he can come back from this. But, yeah. And hopefully the Colts get all of their guys back this weekend. They're going to need everybody. Buckner and Ryman and Ryan Kelly, and these guys can get some of these injuries shored up so the Colts can come out, because we know the Titans are going to be a tough-nosed team. And tomorrow we'll talk more about the Titans and how the Colts are going to have to play one of their best games, because we know playing the Titans is like a lot like playing against the Baltimore Ravens. Just a tough-nosed, hard-nosed, tough team that doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and they're very well coached. So we'll talk more about the Colts tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and give this video a thumbs up if you like these type of videos. Until next time, stay classy out there, Colts fans.